Today, the altcoins are doing pretty well, but one altcoin is doing better than the rest, and that's Tezos. XTZ is rallying. Nobody expected this. It's an altcoin that was launched back in the days 2018 during the ICO boom. It was a competing smart contract platform. The question is, why is it going up now? And how high could Tezos still go? Does it make sense to still buy? Let's have a look at the data most people are not considering. So here's the massive development in the last month. Tezos more than doubled and is now at $1.10. But interestingly enough, the blockchain itself seems to not see that much usage. This is the total value locked. So how much capital is locked up in the Tezos chain? It's a graph over time, and it starts in 2021. So it peaked directly after launch in October of 2021 at 200 million and then fell quite sharply. Now it's at 50 million. Now one might make the argument that the total value locked went down because the XTZ price, the Tezos price itself, went down. And there is some truth to that, because measured in XTZ, the capital on the chain actually went slightly up. So it was not necessarily less usage of the chain, at least in terms of capital locked up. It was the value of the assets on the chain going down in price. But why did the value go down? It's because of the activity, as in how much swapping activity do we have, how much fee generation do we have. That unfortunately also declined. And that's not just measured in US dollars, it's actually also measured in XTC. So this is the decentralized exchange trading volume on Tezos over time measured in XTC. A lot of activity at the beginning, but now in this year, it's pretty much non-existent. That then of course begs the question, right? Why are we up in the price like this? The rally is only impressive when we zoom in to just the last month. Once we zoom out a little bit, the situation looks very different. Tezos at one point was at above $8. Yes, the price is still up from the ICO price of 47 cents, where Tezos raised 286 million, but still, there was way more traction in the past compared to today. Now, it's not that straightforward to distill the data from the Tezos chain itself. Also, the Tezos Explorer doesn't give us a lot of statistics. However, there is a ported version of XTC on the Binance Smart Chain, and we can have a look at the number of holders on that chain. So here's the ported version. We've got 22,000 holders on the Binance Smart Chain of Tezos. And over here, we've got the number of retail investors versus whale investors. And the way we make this distinction is by looking at minimum holding thresholds. So how many Tezos tokens are held in a particular wallet? To be counted for the chart on the left, a wallet has to hold at least 1,000 Tezos tokens. And since Tezos is now close to $1, that's roughly $1,000. For the chart in the middle, it's 10,000 tokens. For the chart on the right, it's 100,000 tokens. We did see quite a bit of accumulation up until August of last year. So that's true for small retail. For medium-sized retail, we're already seeing the selling happening since April of last year. The number of whales didn't really change that much over time. Now, I believe that this rally is created through short-term leverage with the perpetual futures. So nowadays, a lot of trading happens not on the spot market anymore, not directly on the chain anymore. It happens on the perpetual futures, because perpetual futures have very little slippage. So the buy and sell price is very close to one another. And the transaction fees are also comparatively low. The only thing that perpetual futures are not that good at is for long-term holding. If you buy a token and you hold it for long term on the perpetual futures, it's expensive. But if you want to get short-term leverage, short-term massive exposure to the price, then the perps are really great. And when there's a lot of trading volume on the perpetual futures and a lot of open interest, that then spills over through arbitrage bots to the spot market as well. And so just have a look at the funding rate of Tezos in the last few hours. It's massively negative. The traders bet on falling prices with a huge overhang. Every 8 hours, the shorts have to pay the longs 0.36%. So that's annualized roughly 300%. So if the Tezos price was not to fall by 60-70% in the next year, then those shorts will make a loss. Just have a look at the open interest over time and how it correlates to the Tezos price. When there's a lot of bets on the price, then the spot market goes up as well. When there's less bets on the price, the spot market goes down as well, with a lag to a degree. Currently, we are shooting up in the open interest again. And I believe we might see, at least short-term, a continued rally in the Tezos price. We are likely going to see more open interest going up because it's now extremely profitable for the market makers to further liquidate those shorts and to further earn those massive funding rates. The shorts are already getting massively liquidated, and as the price goes higher and higher, the market makers make more and more money with those liquidations. So there's a clear incentive by the whales to push Tezos higher short term until everybody got burned. Once everybody got burned, then the open interest will go back to normal again, and with it the Tezos price. I'm personally not touching Tezos right now, but I think there is an opportunity maybe in 2 or 3 weeks when the attention has died down, when the price comes down together with the open interest. So when the asset delevers again and the short-term capital goes to the next asset. Just have a look at Tezos relative to Bitcoin long term. This chart starts in 2017 and we have seen those pump and dumps, so short squeezes several times in the past. And now it's just history repeating itself. And I do believe that at some point this will turn around. In the past, the rally was 130%. Currently, we are at 104%. And maybe we could go even higher today. Again, the main thing I'm looking at is the funding rates. And once this normalizes again, I might enter a Tezos short with a very tight stop loss. Because again, those inflated prices won't last forever. And short-term capital will exit the asset again. The Tezos chain is pretty much dead, and any price rally is just short-term manipulation. That's currently what we see in Tezos. Now, I do have an announcement to make. I always talk about how to bet on relative valuations, right? How some altcoins might outperform or underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum, and how those relative valuations aren't that volatile, right? We tend to see relatively clear trends, and how there's quite a bit of alpha to be made with this, right? We can outperform using those clear trends. The only issue is that for most people, this is a bit too complicated, right? You have to learn the platform, you have to learn risk management, how to adjust stop losses, etc. And so here's now the big announcement. I have launched for a small number of people to just deposit capital into a capital pool and then automatically copy trade whatever I do. The launch happened 24 hours ago for the annual subscribers of premium of this channel. And it's already going well. Of course, there might be some volatility to the downside, but currently we are 1.7% already in profit. Before that launch, I tried this out myself on a personal account. So I started with 40K, moved this to 60K within 2.5 months. And while I don't expect to get the same kinds of returns when moving more capital and when maybe luck isn't that much on our side, I still believe that the strategies we are using will yield long-term risk-adjusted positive returns. So in the early days, I did this all with borrowing and lending platforms with DeFi. Now I moved to perpetual futures, right? Bets on the price. But this relative valuation bet approach, I already do this for almost 4 years. So that's what this chart is showing, right? If I just dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin, I would have gotten this light gray line as return. But instead, I got the black line in return. And here's how I do this. I check for altcoins that have a quickly rising supply, while the demand doesn't grow at the same rate. So this is the example of Balancer. I show this very often here publicly on this channel as well. Of course, there are way more examples that I share in the closed community. But because of that token inflation, relative valuations tend to go up very, very steeply. So this is now Ethereum relative to Balancer. So we go short Balancer, or we borrow the Balancer token, right? We profit when Balancer goes down, and we go long the thing that we believe will outperform. And then we get a chart like this. It's a strategy that works for many altcoins. Just have a look at the overall altcoin unlocks over time. So how much new supply hits the market and how much capital needs to flow into the market just to keep prices stable. This here is weekly unlocks, and it tends to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars every week. Especially this week is extremely aggressive with unlocks. And so this is the return we get, but that happens because this is the actual performance of the altcoin. And this is a chart we see very, very often. Just have a look at your favorite altcoin with high unlocks relative to Bitcoin, relative to Ethereum, and you're likely going to see a chart that goes down quite consistently. Who's getting all the tokens? Who's benefiting from this? It's the founders, it's the contributors, it's the early investors. They are all dumping on retail. So when you're wondering why your altcoin portfolio tends to underperform Bitcoin all the time, it's because of that, right? It's because all those people dump on you regularly. And so that's how we make money as well. We make money when the insiders dump on retail, and most retail investors don't know how to play the game. I made a lot of tutorial videos on the topic. How to bet on relative valuations with perpetual futures, how to do proper risk management with those bets. And then also, and this is the big thing, right? How to provide capital to a capital pool so that every trade that I make automatically gets copied with your funds as well. So that something like this isn't theory, but actually becomes practice for yourself as well. You don't have to necessarily go through all of those tutorial videos and have to do active trading all the time if you don't have the time. If you do want to trade yourself, there is obviously the offer, because I do share my trades in real time as well, right? For example, here, this is the Balancer short that I announced on the 19th of July of last year. So that was over here. Since then, Balancer outperformed Ethereum by more than 116%. And so if you've got some capital, but also some time, then there's the monthly membership, right? You just sign up, you watch a few tutorial videos, and then you can copy trade whatever I do. And of course, also do additional trades besides that. If you don't have much time though, if you cannot do the active trading yourself and you're busy with maybe managing a business or a very busy job, you've got the capital, you don't have the time, then you can also automatically copy trade me. The automatic copy trading feature is available for the annual subscribers. So if you sign up for the annual premium membership, you get a bit of savings as well, but you also get access to the automatic copy trading, which again, I've just recently started. We don't know yet how this will perform, but in the last 2.5 months on my private account, it did pretty well. And very long term with borrowing and lending platforms, it also did pretty well. I can't guarantee that it will continue to work in the future, right? Prior returns are no indication of future returns, as people say. But in general, I try to get the odds in our favor, right? When everybody dumps on retail, we can still profit from that if we set ourselves up accordingly. A link to premium should pop up directly here on the screen. Just click on that. It will lead you to the website. If it's the very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish this regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube, or see you in premium. Cheers.